Okay, we've got our Game Boy DMG here that we're restoring. If you missed the last video, we started the restoration by tearing it down completely and washing the shell and all those pieces. Now we actually have to get this working. It's not working. When I put power in, the light comes on. It looks like the screen has life in it. Actually, let me just show you. Let me plug it back in and show you what it's doing. Okay, I got the screen plugged back in and the DC power in and turning it on. You can see that the light turns on here and the screen shows signs of life a little bit. I mean, there's lines on the screen, so there's something's going on with the screen, but then nothing else. The volume is turned all the way up. We still don't hear our little chime. Do it again. It's all the way up. Turn the contrast wheel too. Nothing's changing there. Nothing. Also, there was a humming coming from the speaker when we tested it out when it was all put together, but I didn't notice it this time now that it's all apart. Now there is a chance with this one that I may end up just replacing this board and the screen entirely. This board also entirely, and then all of the capacitors. Like, I'm going to be doing a recap on this anyway, so the only thing that would be left would be this board and this board here. But before I do that, I do want to try to figure out what the issue actually is. I'm leaning toward a capacitor or something on this board, so either this capacitor or this inductor maybe. Or one of the other capacitors. That's what my intuition tells me. So I've never actually worked on a Game Boy before, so this is going to be me just sort of thinking my way through this process of trying to troubleshoot and everything. So feel free in the comments to correct me when I'm wrong, and let me know about other strategies to use in regards to troubleshooting the Game Boy, or what you would have probably gone and tested first. This is also the first video I made where I'm actually like troubleshooting, like in real time, something like this. So I'm gonna try to articulate my thoughts as I'm going through as coherently as possible, but I struggle to do that even when my thoughts are coherent. Yeah. Usually I'm just rapid fire. Like when I do this, I'm like rapid fire, brains bouncing all over the board trying to think of stuff. So it's going to be an experience. Just bear with me. Hopefully it's not too painful. Okay, so we know we have power getting through the board. It's coming in here, going through the switch, going through this power board, and it is ending up on this board at least. Something that could be happening is the power's not getting to the CPU, or not enough power is getting to the CPU, or there is probably a reset pin on the CPU, because you can't, with the Game Boy, you can hit. If you hit start select A and B at the same time, it'll restart. It'll like reboot your game. Usually that's triggered through like a reset pin on the CPU. It's like hitting the reset button on like your NES or something. So if that is supposed to, like, if you trigger that by hitting low on that pin, and this isn't outputting enough power to this normally, maybe it's stuck in a reset cycle. Another thing I guess it could be too is that we are getting power to the LCD screen, but maybe not enough power, so it wouldn't display right, or anything really. But there could be another issue with, like, the speaker could be out, or the headphone jack could not be working, so we wouldn't hear the chime, the little startup chime. So like the CPU could be booting, but we're just not hearing the chime because there's two issues. There's the speaker or the headphone jack, and also the LCD screen's not getting power. I don't really feel like it is that. I didn't test the headphone jack yet. I could do that real quick. But the way the headphone jacks work, same thing with the DC power, is that there's like a switch inside that is connected. So when you don't have your headphones in, there's a switch that's closed, and it lets the sound go to the speaker. And then when you plug in your headphones, it pushes the switch away, which disconnects the speaker. Same thing with the power. So say the battery comes through. Normally this switch will be closed, so the power from the battery can go to the switch and then to the power board. But when you plug in I think it's how it works for the DC power. When you plug in the DC power, it disconnects that switch, so it cuts off the batteries that are in here from this, and it just pulls the power from the DC. So let me actually check this first to see if we do have sound coming out at all. Okay, so what this will test is even if it's closed but it's corroded, and there's not a good contact between this switch. When it's closed, that's when it would go through to the speaker. But if it's not getting good contact, then it's not going to go to the speaker anyway, even if you don't have headphones plugged in. So we're testing to make sure that switch is closed, or we're testing to see if there's any audio even coming from headphones. We've got it plugged in, and the headphones are in. Turning it on. It is all the way up. And nothing. We should have had a ping by now, but we do not have anything. Okay, so it seems like the CPU, still isn't. The CPU probably isn't booting. I didn't actually test with batteries. I don't know if it would be possible for like this to be dirty enough that the power coming in from the DC would not be enough. Like, if that makes any sense. So, and I kind of want to test a bit to see if anything's different with batteries. But I don't have a bench power supply to plug directly in here. I think I would have to partially reassemble the shell in order to test batteries, and I think I am going to try to do that just to rule out any differences. Okay, we got the shell back together enough so that I can put batteries in it. Let's try it here. Flip this switch on. Still same thing. We still get power on the board. Nothing. Still nothing. Okay, that's volume, yeah. Let's turn it off. Turn it off. Okay, this is the volume. I may have accidentally turned it all the way down when I was testing before. So let's try it again. Definitely should have heard a chime by now. Let me try one more time with the headphones while it's all together here. And power on. And still nothing. I didn't really expect that to be any different. I just wanted to make sure I ruled out anything that might be different. Alright, I flipped it around because I'm kind of focusing on this board. I feel like this board is okay, but we'll see about that. So I'm focusing on this board mainly, and I printed out the schematic for the Game Boy here, and I've kind of been trying to follow through where everything is going, and you can see here. So we have let me zoom in real quick. So we have our voltage that'll come in either. I don't know if this is for a battery, but we have our DC jack here. Comes in here, and then it'll go through the switch. This is our ground, and then this is our input for the switch, and then we have our output here. This would be 6 volts at this point because the DC power and the battery power are 6 volts. So we have 6 volts here that would then. It looks like. Sorry about that. It looks like it splits over here and then feeds into DC to DC converter. That's the power board. We have voltage coming in with a ground, and then we have 2 different voltages coming out, which I assumed that there would be like a 5 volt feeding into the CPU, and then like a different voltage feeding onto the LCD board. But it seems like there's actually 3 voltages because this splits off here. This is our 6 volts. Before it goes into the power board, it splits here. Let's see what this is outputting. We'll check all the voltages. We'll check the voltage coming out of the switch, see if it is 6 volts. I don't know that it cares so much about how much voltage. Well, I guess the audio amp might care a bit. But these should be specific, and we'll check these ones too real quick. Okay, I want to test the voltages on the board here. So we should have 6 volts coming into this board here on this first pin. This will be a ground pin, and then this third pin was the VEE was marked, and I think that's what's driving the LCD board. And then this pin is the VDD, which should be driving the CPU. I have I'm a little jittery today, and I don't want to short these out. So I've got my negative clamped to the negative battery terminal. Turn her on here. Try to be careful. It's really hard to do this while filming. So 7.5 volts going in, which is higher than I expected, but that's fine. That should be fine, right? Because that's probably what a AA batteries would be. Alright, so this is the ground one, and then this is this negative 19 driving the LCD, which I think that's right. I think it seems right. I think the LCDs use a higher voltage. And then 5 volts here, which is the CPU. So that seems right too. Yeah, I mean, that seems right. Let me double check those, and then we'll go from there. Okay, full disclosure here. After I checked the voltages on the board here, I got this crappy little oscilloscope out. I was going to see if I could use it. I'm not experienced with an oscilloscope, and I've never actually used this one before, so I thought maybe I'll just start probing around with this off camera to see if I can figure out if this thing actually works and if it's going to work for this thing. Well, I was using this with the scope attached to it here, probing around. May have actually shorted some stuff out here. Was a little bit concerned that I just fried this thing completely. Let me just get this out of the way. That I fried the CPU completely, but I don't know, shorted some stuff out, touched a few things, no idea really what I'm doing. And now we have something a little bit different, right? Fired up, looks the same, but, well, don't you start. Don't you do it. Maybe it was just from me, like, turning it on and turning it off again a bunch. I'm telling you, I got it to boot up. Like, the screen looked like garbage, but it did boot up. Oh, wait a minute. You see this? Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. See, it's not centered, and there it's centered now. Hold on, let me take this guy off. But look at it now. You can see here. That's our Nintendo logo. You can see it looks like the screen's looking a little rough. Let's see if it'll do it again. No, see, it's different again. Nothing that time. Weird, right? I feel like this is further proof that it's capacitors. Okay, I had to walk away after that last clip. Not out of frustration or anything. It was just late and I had to go. But I think what we just saw in the last one is, like I said, it's even more confirmation that it to me it's guaranteed it has to be capacitors. The reason for that being that, like, sometimes, from my experience, from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, like, failing capacitors can, like, if they get warmed up, or, you know, if over time they can sort of start to build their charge back up, they can start showing signs of life again. And that was exactly what we had. I had this on while I was probing around for like a minute or two, and then it kind of came back to life again, and then I turned it off, started recording, explained to you guys what had happened. Meanwhile, the capacitors are discharging and cooling off, and then when I turned it back on, we had the original fault again, but we let it sit for a little bit, and then it came back to life, or specifically it looked like the CPU started to boot after the charge had built back up again. So, yeah, I could, like I said before, I could just do a recap, probably just even on this board, and it would almost guaranteed solve the issue. But I still want to know specifically which cap it is, and I want to try to understand what is happening on the board that's that's causing it to have this fault. I could probably do some research online and find out very easily, but I want to experience it firsthand. I don't know if we'll get to that point, but I'm gonna try. That being said, I do want to do one or two quick things to rule out real quick. I want to clean the switch. I might try to clean the power jack too, but I want to clean the switch. I don't think that would be the issue, but if there is some buildup in here, then there potentially could be causing resistance. I think if there were buildup in here, we'd be getting an intermittent. It wouldn't be. It's firing every time we flip the switch. It's powering on. So like, I feel like that would be more intermittent if there were dirt in the switch. But maybe there's just enough dirt that it's dropping the voltage somehow. I don't think so. I don't think it would drop the voltage that much. And we're not seeing that. We're only getting the average when we check with the multimeter, but we're seeing 7.5 volts on the unregulated line. That meaning that's 7.5 volts coming in from the DC jack. And I feel like if there were resistance that would be messing with it, it would be showing that it's lower than that. It would probably be something less than, it would have to be like less than 6 or something. Maybe I don't know exactly, but to me it doesn't feel like this would be the issue. But I am just to rule it out. I'm just going to clean this real quick. I always clean the switches. So I was going to clean it eventually anyway. I just want to do it right now to rule this out. All right. Let's try firing it up. I'll clean the switch and... Oh, that was already on. Okay. No difference here. Seems like I did not think that was going to work, but just wanted to rule it out. So I could replace this board with the working board that I have, because I have that other DMG that is working just fine. I could swap out this whole board just to verify that the fault isn't on this board, but I'm pretty sure that it is, because I'm 90% sure that it's related to our CPU not booting, which I think that's all handled on this board. I don't see why there would be anything coming over to this board and then going back to the CPU. So it's going to be this board. I could swap out the power board too, and I might get to that if I need to. I kind of don't want to tear down that other Game Boy yet. Just to rule out these parts. If I end up having to, then I will. But what I want to actually do is, like I said, I think it's related to the CPU booting, and we're not getting clean voltage, or we're not getting the voltage to initiate the boot, or something's going on. I don't exactly know how it works. But we're going to try to figure that out, and we might swap out like one capacitor at a time from this board that is involved in the booting of that. Alright, so I think I'm going to go through and just follow sort of where the voltage comes into the CPU and everything. Try to use the schematic to sort of follow along where it goes. I don't remember how much I showed of the schematic before, if I did. But yeah, we got our power. This is the main board here with the CPU, the work RAM, and the VRAM. We got our audio, our op amp here, which is on the main board, and then the headphone jack and the audio board. This guy over here. This is the LCD board here with the white ribbon cable that connects to it. This is our power board with our green cable with the one red wire here. Yeah, so we're going to kind of go through. The power comes in through the jack here, or I mean it goes through the jack regardless. It goes through the switch. I think this is going to ground. This goes to the ground pin. Comes in here, and then this would be the positive. Yeah, this is the positive. This is where it goes into the power board, but there's only the one electrolytic capacitor on this board. I don't know which one it is on this schematic. Is it this guy? 10 microfarad? Probably that guy. The clean, or the unregulated power, that's what would go into, that comes down here, it shoots off into this because it goes into the LED here. That's the LED, and that just powers the LED. That's why, so that's why, yeah, that makes sense, because as your batteries get lower, your voltage is dropping, and that's the only thing that's just going, it just goes, this unregulated power from either your DC jack or your batteries, it's going right into the LED. And that's how you get that power indication, like whenever, as your batteries are draining, the voltage is dropping, so then it's going to cause your LED to shine less and less, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's the only unregulated power on. This is the white ribbon cable that goes across to the LCD board, so this one keeps going, keeps going. Keeps going. Where's this going? This is the audio board. There is C2 here. I mean, that's just going into the op amp, which should only be for the audio. Would that only be for the audio? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There's this C2, which filters or regulates the voltage going into there. That's definitely electrolytic. I think that one is I think that's this, where is it? It should be the one right next to, because that's the op amp chip, that's the one we're looking at there. C2, yeah, this is C2, because this is C7, that's C8, C2. So, let's look at this real quick to see if, I can never tell if they're, like, if there's something obviously wrong with them. I have no idea. I mean, there was a humming, so it could be like this one is bad. This one probably is bad. But I don't think this is related to, I think this just has to do with audio. Could be wrong. Correct me if I am wrong, because it just looks like it goes into the op amp, and I don't think the op amp would have anything to do with the boot. So what then comes out of here, like I said, VEE is, that's that negative 19 volts that just comes out and goes into the LCD board. So I don't think it's that, because I really don't, like, that's only to do, negative 19 volts is only to do with the LCD. And our LCD works. When we get the CPU to boot, the LCD, it's not always pretty, but I think that's more of this an issue of the signal going in, as opposed to the LCD itself. I mean, there could be issues with, it kind of looked like the sides of the screen were missing, which means that the contacts on the actual screen are bad. That's a different issue. So then we have the VDD, which is our positive 5 volts. It comes out, and is that a junction? No, that's not a junction. That just keeps going straight down here. C1 here, which is probably electrolytic, and then this one is probably ceramic. Can you tell that from these symbols? Is that what these symbols mean? Like, this is ceramic, this is electrolytic? Where did we see the last, this one? Oh yeah, I guess that does make sense. I am embarrassed. Yes. Anyway, C1 powers the CPU, it looks like. Pin 58. And C1 where does it get power? It would be, I think this is the reset. Actually, I think the chip is on here. It's displayed on here in the same orientation that it is right now on the board. So it comes in over from one of these guys. Is this it? What's this one? See, C1. Okay, that's C1. It doesn't, I can never tell. It doesn't look obviously bad. I don't think I see any leaking or anything. It might be more obvious on a bigger screen. Maybe this capacitor would cause the issues there. Where we at? These guys here. Oh, it does continue down, 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 down. Still going down over. It goes into the work RAM, or this is the VRAM. Splits off into this VDD and this CS2. There's a ceramic capacitor there. Ceramic capacitor there. It goes into the work RAM on this one too. So these are ceramics. I don't think that would be messing with these guys. Like, if it has to send power, like I don't know if power comes in here and then it would send a signal back to the CPU through one of these. It's like, hey, we're good, we're okay. Like, I don't know if that's how it works. As of right now, it seems like what's getting here would be just filtered with these ceramic capacitors, and that would be fine. The only one that would be messing it up would be this one to power the CPU. So we can try that one. What else we got here? I guess we could also look and see. So the reset on this, which is, I think that's what I was talking about earlier. If this gets triggered with either a low or a high, I don't remember, then it will trigger a reset. Or it could be the opposite, where if it's not triggered, then it won't boot the CPU. Like, you trigger it with a high and then it'll tell the CPU to boot or something, and then if it hits low, then it sort of reboots, and if it stays low, then it would be like the equivalent of like holding in the reset button on an NES. So if this isn't getting the voltage that it needs, it could keep it from booting, and then like as the capacitor warms up, I guess potentially it could finally get that voltage and then do a boot. Do the boot, but there's no capacitors on this line. Okay, so what did we decide? We decided that the only electrolytic that looks like it would be involved in the boot up would be C1, this one at the top corner. So we can try replacing this one first. It's either that one or it's let me see if it's marked on the board so I can be sure. Alright, so it's this guy here, which are these two pins here. So it's gonna come, this is our ground, this is our ground. And then this is, so that's the 19 volt, that passes through the 19 volts. So that probably isn't it either, because, yeah, I think our LCD line is fine. Even if it's not fine, we're just focusing on the CPU boot. So, all of that aside, good luck to me on editing that. I think we're just gonna replace this guy. I think it has to be process of elimination. I think it has to be this one specifically. Yeah, I think we've replaced this and then see what happens. Alright, we're all ready to go here. Oh, I changed my tip, so I'm not using that massive knife tip anymore. I always see people with those curved tips that look like this, but it's just like bent at the end, and I've never seen those for sale anywhere, and I just wonder if people just bend the tip like on this guy. Is that what they do? I don't know. I like them. They seem like they'd be useful. Anyway, so let's get this guy off real quick here. I don't know if I'll need any flux, but we should just be able to heat up this guy here. Pull this off. Yeah. Pull that side off. Cut that guy out. You guys know the drill. Cut it out. Clean the pads. Okay. Capacitor's removed. Holes are clean. Okay, let's grab we've got a replacement capacitor, making sure to put the negative in the negative spot and the positive in the positive spot. So let's see if first I want to look at the old capacitor and see if there's anything noticeably, like, does it look noticeably bad? I can never tell. Like I said so many times. This is probably from the iron. I probably hit that with the iron, I'm assuming. Maybe. It doesn't look like it's blowed. Like, I don't know. I can't tell. If you guys notice anything, like, this is obvious. Like, I don't think you can always. I don't think it's always noticeable when caps fail. All right, let's put it back together and test it. Not fully back together. Let's put the screen back on and then test. See if that did anything. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I hate putting the ribbon cable for the LCD screen back in. Power it on. What do you guys think? Think it's gonna work? Oh, I hope it does. Ready? Oh no, it's the same thing. I was sure. I was convinced. I was absolutely convinced that was what the issue was. So it wasn't that capacitor. Nothing. Let's see if it still does the same thing where it will come back on later. Unless the try cleaning this ribbon. Maybe I got it dirty or something. Let's give this a quick clean. Yeah, so it was. Okay, plug it in again. I don't think that's gonna help, but no, nothing, no difference. Okay, back to the drawing board. Okay, did a little digging, a little research, and I think I understand how it works. It was like I said, pretty much, where, you know, the voltage comes in, when you turn the switch on, it goes into the reset pin on here. Well, the reset pin is like pulled down low, I guess, and that it waits, while it waits for like a stable voltage to come out of the power board into the CPU, and then it goes high to sort of initiate or act like let the CPU boot up, and then the CPU boots up and displays the scrolling logo with the little chime at the end. So what I think I want to do, I don't know why that would be pulling, like why it would be stuck in the low position, but I want to see it to see if it is stuck in the low position. So I'm gonna get the scope back out off camera. I'm gonna take a look at it to see if I can't get it to even get a good image enough to see what this pin is, if it's staying pulled low, and then I'm also going to check the the 5 volts that also is supposed to be going into the CPU here. See if anything, like, see if I can't get a picture of something in there, and if I do, I'll come back and show you guys what I saw. Okay, so I don't remember when the last clip was, how long ago that last clip was. I've only been able to work on this for or look at this for like 10 minutes at a time in like short bursts. So if I'm repeating myself about the same things, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to edit this so that it's watchable, but it's gonna be probably pretty tough. So I've been looking at it. I've been doing some research. Like I said, with the the reset line. So the power comes in. You turn the switch on. The power comes in. There is this reset pin here, which holds low. It's like on a delay circuit that like holds low briefly while the rest of the voltages stabilize, and then it flips to high, and then the CPU will boot. So I got the scope back out. I think it actually works decently enough that it's usable, and I could actually look at some signals on the board. Keep switching it up here. So we have the reset here, and I thought it had come from the unregulated line, but actually I think it comes from this is the cartridge slot. It looks like the voltage is fed from the cartridge slot into the reset line. It's only connected to this VD. I don't know if it's a VDO or a VDD, but the VDD is the 5 volt line, and then also it splits here and then comes down and goes to the the reset on the cartridge connector. So I actually can look at, because I didn't really want to try to check the pin here on the CPU because they're tiny and I didn't want to short anything. So I was checking the pin on the cartridge slot here to see if we had that high, if we ever got a high signal into the chip, into the reset, because they're both on the same thing. Whatever the cartridge pin would be reading is the same thing that the CPU should be reading, I believe. But I don't know where the cartridge connector gets the 5 volts. I guess there's this V in, like there's this V in here that comes from, it just comes from this V in on the CPU. So I don't know if, I'm assuming 5 volts comes in. This is where the 5 volt line is. That's the capacitor we replaced. Was the 5 volts comes into the VDD. It says V in here, but it might head out and go into the cartridge slot and then feed and power the cartridge. That would make sense to me. And then it might come out here and then go into the reset line. I'm assuming that's what it does, although I'm confused. I've printed out another, a different schematic, which kind of has arrows. It seems like, I think the way this one works is it has arrows pointing, like these analog signals go out of the CPU, whereas these digitals can go in and out. But it has this V in, which is marked as going into the CPU. This is the CPU. The voltage goes into the CPU from, over here we have the cartridge connector, and it looks like it's coming out of the cartridge connector. So this one's confusing me, but you see we have the VCC. It's called VCC on here because this is just the CPU board. And there's only the 5 volts on here, so it's the VCC. The VCC is the 5 volts. We have the VCC here, which connects to, this is the VCC, that resistor, and then into the reset line, and this is the reset line there. So, but it also would connect to this reset line as well. So, if any of that made any sense, if you followed along there, gotta catch my breath. If you followed along there, what that means is I should be able to, and I was probing around, so spoiler alert, I should be able to, from the cartridge slot here, check to see if we have a high signal at all. If this reset pin goes high, then we should know that the CPU should be booted. The CPU is getting the signal to boot. So when I do that, let's see if I can get it to work this time. This is where it gets tricky because it's actually been doing different stuff now. So let's see here. We'll turn. I don't know if I'll be able to get you guys to, if you guys will be able to see this. The symptoms have been changing too. It used to be if I left it on long enough, it would eventually boot fine. Like it would just start booting fine for a little bit. But now it's like now that I haven't had it running, it'll probably boot fine now, and then right after it finishes booting, it'll like reset and then not be a good boot. I took off the LCD board, and I have headphones plugged in here. The headphones are next to the microphone, so you'll be able to hear the ping if we have a good boot. If you don't hear the ping after like a few seconds, then we know it's not a good boot. All right, here we go. We're firing it up. We have a ping, so that was a good boot. So this pin here, the third pin on this side, is the cartridge slot, and you can see here it's high. It's almost at 5 volts, which is exactly what we should have. This is the leg of the CPU that we replaced. So it's the capacitor we replaced. It's the capacitor that goes right into the voltage in for the not the V in, the voltage supply to the CPU. So it is actually, if I can get it good, it's actually a very clean, steady 5 volts, but a slightly dirty, just under 5 volts on the reset pin, which means the reset pin is high. I can turn it off and then turn it back on, because you did hear the pings, but this time you won't hear it. I guarantee it. Yeah, we should have heard it by now, which means it's not booting, but we can still see we have almost 5 volts There's a resistor right before the reset pins, and that's going to pull the voltage down just a little bit. So we know that the reset is not being held low like I thought. So I was thinking, what else would cause it? It's like the CPU is getting the signal to boot. What else would cause the signal to not boot? The only thing I could think of that would cause the CPU to not be able to boot, or to boot and then like sort of reboot or get stuck, is the clock. If the clock isn't working, obviously the CPU can't run. So this second pin, while I'm zoomed in here, this third pin right here, that was the reset pin. This second pin, I believe this one is the clock. Now I did get a good boot at one point, and it did show what looked to me like a clock signal on the scope here, but I cannot get a good boot anymore. That was kind of a good boot, and then it's gone, right? So like, I don't know if you caught that. It was like, we did have a good boot. It did not seem like the clock was doing very good, and now we have on our clock, we just have a steady 5-ish volts going through. So I think that's not how it's supposed to be. So we also have the crystal, which is what I've been calling the clock. I believe it's these two pins here. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to leave it unplugged for just a second, because it's like, I found that now when I come back to it, if I let it cool down, it used to be, if it was warmed up, then it started working. But now it's like, I have to let it cool down, otherwise it won't boot at all. What I've been seeing is like 5 volts out of here, and then less than 5 volts, maybe like 4.5 volts out of here, and like 2.5 out of here. But it's all steady. It's not like oscillating like a clock should. All right, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to hold it at this part, which I believe is the output. That looks interesting. We got a boot, and then it was just, okay, so it booted, and then it went straight up to a weird, it's not a good oscillation. And that's 5 volts probably going into it, I guess. But then this should be, this one here is the clock feeds back in, or the crystal feeds back into the CPU, I believe. And then that feeds into the cartridge. Okay, yeah, I was fudging around with it a little bit. Hold on. And like you can see here, it like kind of looks like it's oscillating, but it's just like quick drops from 5 volts. I don't think that's what it's supposed to be. What I'm gonna do though is, I probably should have done this sooner, but I want to actually get the working Game Boy out and check the values on that one compared to what we've seen here. All right, see, now that's what our signal looks like now. All right, so tweaking it a little bit, that's our clock signal. That's the clock signal on the cartridge page. Now what I don't understand is, so I thought we would have through the clock at some point. So I believe this is the one pin on the clock here, and you could see I switched this to AC. We'll switch it back to DC and knock it down to 5 volts. But that's the one pin, and it is pretty stable. There's like a little fluctuation. I don't know if that's like a small pulsing in here. I'm at 1 millisecond. And if I check what I believe is the other side, we get this, which I feel like is similar to, I can't remember what the other one looked like. Was it like wavy like that before? Because that would be like, I mean, that seems like oscillation, very quick oscillation, but does it oscillate through this pin, go back into the CPU, and the CPU like inverts it or does something to it to make it look like this, then to like clean it up a little bit? Is that what it does? And then my question would be, is the issue on the other one, because I feel like it seems to be like the issue is clock related now. Is it an issue with the crystal? Like, does the crystal need replaced, or is the CPU shot? I don't know. So what I think I'm actually going to do is I might just reflow the joints on the other one all around, all having to do with the clock and the crystal. Might try to reflow those just in case there's like a bad joint or something. Because this one's perfectly fine, and I really don't want to like pull parts off of this one. Could swap it over just to see if it is the crystal. Let me just reflow. Let's just reflow it first. Okay, I don't think that did anything, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we'll just listen to it for right now. Okay, it did the thingy, which is normal for it when it first starts up after not starting up. And now it's not doing the thingy. So that didn't do anything. Okay, it's the next day again. Sorry. I'm thinking it's a clock issue, which would point to a bad crystal. I'm hoping is the case, because if it is a bad clock issue and it's not the crystal, then I would imagine it would be the CPU, and I don't want to have to do a CPU swap because I don't have a spare CPU. I think what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take this one out. It shouldn't be, a difficult thing to do. I don't really have a whole lot of confidence in myself. I'm not a very confident person, not just with electronics, but in general. So I will take this one out first, see how I feel about that, and then I might swap the other one, bring over the crystal from the other board and replace this one with that one, just to see that just to test whether it is the crystal or not. I'm hesitant to do that. Like I said, I'm not a very confident person. Confident, not competent. I mean, I don't know how competent I am. But I want to have at least one working Game Boy at the end of this. That one works just fine. And I don't want to break that one in a failed attempt to fix this one. So yeah, let's get this guy out and then go from there. Okay. There we go. She's out. Oops. Set that aside. Turn it off first. Alright, she's out. So, yeah, I think we'll pull the other one. Okay, got that one out. This guy here. I'm going to try to clean up the pins on here because I still have a lot of solder left. And then I'm going to clean up the holes on here. So we'll get it cleaned up and then we'll put it back in. Okay, the new crystal's in, or the crystal from the other board is in. So I guess we're gonna fire up and see. I think we're ready to power her on. It'll probably ping anyway because it's been when I don't have it running for a while, it's been doing the opposite of what it originally was doing, where I ran it for a while and then it turned on, then it would boot. But now it's like it'll boot if it hasn't been running, and then if I turn it off and turn it back on again, then it won't boot anymore. So should boot the first time regardless. No, absolutely nothing this time. Unless you know what I did? I had the volume all the way turned down. Normally I have it spun around so that I spin it. It does better. The volume was all the way down. Let's try it again. Here we go. My heart's in my stomach. Okay, nope. Yeah, that's like what we have before, where it'll do a long chime and then yeah, and then it kind of just crashes again. Nothing here. So what that tells me now is my only idea now is that it is in fact the CPU. I am gonna put the crystal, the old bad crystal that's probably still good on this one, and then I am gonna test this one just real quick, just to make sure that this is still working for right now. Okay, I put the crystal from the not working board onto the working board. Plugged in, volume's all the way up, fire it up. We have that was a good boot there, sounded like. I don't know if you guys could hear that. I could barely hear it. Let's try it again, turn it off, turn it back on. And a good boot still. Okay, so feel like that is definite proof that it was not the crystal, which, like I said, it is the CPU. It could, I mean, I guess technically it could be there's these capacitors here. There's a diode and a resistor here. Okay, guys, I gotta step in here, speed this up, do a little voiceover to explain some things. At this point, I am 99% sure that it's a CPU issue. However, I don't want to risk taking the CPU off of the working Game Boy and putting it on here just to diagnose this Game Boy, because I need to use my hot air gun to do that, and I've never actually used a hot air gun. If you didn't realize until now, I am an amateur at all this stuff. So yeah, I'm putting it off. I'm trying to find any excuse I can, any other possibility that it could be. So I am inspecting the clock circuit. I have already reflown those. I go through and I clean the CPU pins, and then I reflow the CPU pins. Eventually I do a board swap with the power boards between the Game Boys that I have. I do go back and recap this Game Boy as well. I put brand new capacitors on it because I'm like, well, maybe it could be the capacitors. Surprise, surprise, it's not the capacitors. I walk away for a couple of days. I get into a fight with AI because I'm just trying to find any excuse to not do a CPU swap. I end up reflowing the SRAM chips because I'm like, maybe it's not the CPU, maybe it's the SRAM. Like maybe the work RAM isn't letting it boot. So I figure I could, if one of the RAM chips isn't working, I figure I could swap them. And I do that. I swap the RAM chips. This gives me some exposure to working with the hot air gun. In the process of putting the one chip back on, I am melting the cartridge slot a little bit. It doesn't do like any terrible damage, but I'm melting it. I blame it on you guys because I'm trying to film for you guys, and that's why that happened. So I end up stop filming so I can finish this. And then in the process of putting the other chip back on, I tear a pad off of where that chip goes. Have to put a bodge wire between the CPU, and it's a pin that runs directly from the CPU to the RAM chip. So I don't have any fine wire, so I end up using an old capacitor leg that I have lying around. But yeah, so that was a fun time, and then we'll pick up from there. Okay, everything is back together or whatever. All the pins are connected to the pads. I tested each one. There's no shorts around this bodge here. So let's try it again. I don't think it's going to fix it. All right, turning it on now. Got our headphones in. Power's plugged in. Turning it on now. Should get a chime. We got a chime. Turning it off. We will turn it back on now. Might get a chime. Oh, it sounded a little weird, didn't it? Did it sound weird? Turning it on again. There we go. Okay. So the good news is we didn't ruin anything. It's doing exactly the same thing it was doing before. The bad news is It's got probably the CPU. So I am going to, like I said, I'm gonna have to redo this bodge. I don't want to mess up the one that it's working, in all honesty, which I'm afraid that I will, because I'm pretty sure I did this, when I either, I did this at some point. There we go. I don't want to risk ruining the other Game Boy, because I got all that stuff to upgrade it and everything. So I'm going to try to source another chip, because I want to prove at this point. I do want to prove that it is the CPU. I just want to figure out what's wrong with it. That's still my goal with this one. I mean, the goal was like figure out what's wrong with it specifically, but also have it working at the end. That might not end up happening. This may end up being a parts one, because we know everything else on it works. So yeah, let me try to find that, maybe. Guys, this Game Boy, man, I don't even know. So yeah, I've been the longer I work on this thing, the more I've just destroyed it. Like, it's not destroyed, but I've melted a little bit of the cartridge connector. I think it's fine. I think it'll still read discs just fine. Does that look warped to you? But the pins look like they're all in the places they should be. I haven't tested really with the game yet. But we also have this bodge here from the trace the pad that I almost guaranteed that I ripped up on my own. Yeah, and then we still have a presumably broken CPU. It's not booting now. So I needed a new CPU. I need to know what's actually wrong with this. I really do. And I don't feel like waiting. This is the same day. It's actually the same day as the last clip. I don't feel like waiting, so I went to my local game store on an off chance that maybe they might have like some parts, right, that I could buy from them. So I asked, any broken DMGs, and he gave me the back of this Game Boy. Just gave it to me. This thing is in like really good shape too. Like, look at this. There's like almost no yellowing at all. There is like, the terminals. There's obviously been some leaking. They cleaned it out of the top ones here or whatever. The sticker is like in perfect condition. It still has the thingy on it. Look at this. It still has the thingy. This board's got a little bit of corrosion there, but like this whole thing is in like really nice shape. I haven't taken it out yet. I haven't even tested it yet. So now I've got a conundrum. Oh, I also, because they gave it to me for free, I ended up buying Gold Sun for the Game Boy Advance because I loved this game when I was a kid. And I don't have it anymore. I used to have it, but I don't know what happened to it. But if this works, then I still want to know if it was the CPU. Like, I've been putting days of work into this, and I need to know if it's the CPU. So, oh man. All right, let's start by testing this guy first. Take it one step at a time. Let's test this, see if it is working at all. I'm actually going to plug a screen in because I want to know the full breadth of what's going on with it. Okay, I've got this is the screen from the working one, the working board that was missing the lens cover plugged in here. I'm going to put in a game. Where did that? There it is. Let's put in a game. Let's plug it in. It is plugged. The plug is plugged in, and let's fire it up. See what happens. We have got a perfectly good playing Game Boy. Except there's no audio. There's no audio. Well, that could be just the headphone jack. There's the audio. That's weird. That could be capacitors too. But yeah, there it is. It's playing just fine. I think it is, at least. It's very loud, and this game is very loud. Oh, anyway, so yeah. Man. What to do now? I am going. Let's take this board out, and then also just look at it, pine over it, or fawn over it, or whatever we're gonna do. I don't know. Let's just take it out. All right, here we go. Here it is. This is the the new one that looks pretty immaculate, man. It looks real good. I don't know if it's these capacitors or if they're bad capacitors, but I noticed like this one, its booty's like coming out. You see that? The other ones don't all look like that. I mean, this could just need a recap. Like, see this one? These are the same capacitor, essentially. And you see, like, this guy's booty's real bulged, and this guy's booty's real not bulged. Same thing with the, down here. These are, like, the same capacitor. That guy, yeah, that guy. So remember what I kept saying about, like, I can't tell if they're bad or not? I feel like those are pretty good visual indications, maybe. Or maybe they were just weird. This looks like it, too. Maybe they were just weirdly manufactured capacitors. I don't know. Let me know what you think about the capacitors. Tell me all your thoughts on capacitors. But yeah, this board is immaculate. It's also a DMG 06, which is the same, or CPU 06, which is the same as this one, the dead one. Dead. The not working one. It's not really dead, because it still kind of works. Let me take this guy off so I don't lose it. So, do I swap a CPU? I would probably just take this CPU off, put this CPU on there, just to see if this CPU... Because I want to know. Like, I really still want to know what the issue is. I guess I could also use this CPU, because this is the one from the board that is working. This one is working, but... it's the one with the more corrosion on it. Let's do that. Let's just do that. Alrighty. This is the good chip, a known good chip. This is the bad chip here. This is on the bad board. I have checked everything. I made sure this wire is still connected across there like I think that it should be. There's no shorts on here, no bridges. All the pins are connected. It went pretty smoothly. I think I'm getting the hang of using the hot air gun. So let's test her out now. Let's just give her one last shot, because after this, I don't even know. Okay, should be everything ready to go. I just don't want to ruin this CPU. All right, let's fire it up. We got a good boot, which is normal. It's what we normally get. Turning it off. Wait a second. Turning it back on. We've got another good boot, which is promising, but we've had that before. So let's fire it up one more time. We have a third good boot. That is very exciting, but that's not confirmation. I think we've had 3 good boots in a row before. Let us plop in. I mean, I don't even know if it's going to read because of the fact that I destroyed this cartridge slot. Let's fire up this game. See if it plays through the game. If we get 3 boots. Not a third boot. We have the game playing. I'm going to let it play for a little bit here. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. I genuinely don't know. It hasn't it hasn't died yet. Okay, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to take this guy out. I am going to take this guy out. We're going to plug it in with the screen. I'm going to unplug the headphones. We're going to put the game cartridge back in too, because I want to see that. Because it could be like the pins we messed up. It was all me. You guys had nothing to do with this. This was all me. I mean, we already had bad screen, like a slightly bad screen that might be fixable anyway. I just want to make sure that I didn't mess anything up here, or that I didn't mess anything else up that would be screen related. So here we go. I mean, it looks good there. Okay, put Tetris in because I want to, and I grabbed this start and select buttons. I want to see if I can do this. Because I want to get into the game a little bit. Look at that. It boots up just fine. Again, want to get into the game and just make sure that... will this work? But yeah, you can see here the game. I mean, the game. Obviously, our screen is needs some work. But we're gonna come back to that. It was gonna have to be a part 3 for this series. I'm glad that I made the first part of part 1. I already finished that first video, the washing video. I have no idea how long this video is gonna be. I've not started editing it. I hope that it's watchable. I mean, we proved. If anything, like, we proved the fault. It took us a while, but we figured it out. I feel, I'm shocked, honestly, that I did this. But, yeah, we've proven that it was the CPU was wrong, was bad. I can't remember if, and I know I said, at one point, I had said that I had tested this and it did work, but I'm sure that I did test it, but I don't remember the extent of to which I tested it. So I may have just turned it on with the power on, or the adapter in. I saw a good scroll and then just been like, okay, that's fine, like, it works, right? I may not have like booted it more than once, and I might not have tried it with a game. So who knows if it was in a bad state before. I mean, there is a chance that like maybe it was capacitor related. Originally, it could have been like this capacitor, C1 at first, and then like in the process of me messing with it, I took out the CPU. I don't know. Maybe, you know, somebody else around here can tell me that it was me. I don't know. Who knows? But I definitely, I mean, I'm almost guaranteeing that I'm the one that took out this pad when I was messing around with these chips here. I think I'm getting better at using the hot air gun, which I'm excited about because I've always wanted one. I've always wanted to use one. It's like a lifelong dream of mine to have one and have stuff to do with it. But yeah, I can't believe we proved the fault there. I'm actually probably going to take this chip and put it back onto this board and then just maybe use this as a parts board or something. But I'm not going to bore you guys with that. It's like I need to wrap this video up. I need to get it edited. That's the word I was looking for. But yeah, I'm actually surprised. I mean, it was a long process. I wish that I hadn't really listened to AI. Like, because I just kind of I was scared about doing the CPU swap, right? I mean, I needed to practice with these guys at first, but I wouldn't have bodged this, and then I wouldn't have also melted this whole thing here. And for nothing. Honestly, it was just a diagnosis just to see if it was the CPU or not, or just to make sure it wasn't these chips. Because now I have these new capacitors on this board that I kind of want to take off of this board and put on this other board here. Not sure if I'm going to do that or not. We'll see. In fact, I might leave this on here. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Yeah, we have to fix this screen. I'd like to try to fix this screen, even though there's a high likelihood that I'm going to be getting rid of it and swapping it with the backlit screen. And then I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet, or what I'm going to do, because we have to finish. We have to get one of them super upgraded and all that stuff. So I don't know. I got to walk away from this though. This has been like a weeks-long endeavor that has almost brought me to tears. No, it actually hasn't. I'm actually really proud that I figured it out. Yay. But yeah, guys, like, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this was watchable. You know, let me know what you thought. And if you leave a like if you did enjoy it, and subscribe if you haven't already. And we'll see you in the next one.